Tonight, NIU honors the life of a fellow classmate. U.S. Cellular customers here in DeKalb won't be left out in the cold, and the East Coast gets battered again. NTC News Tonight starts now.
You're watching NTC News, DeKalb County's only television news source, on the campus of Northern Illinois University and from the Northern Television Center. This is NTC News Tonight.
NIU students are in mourning as they paid their respects last night at the vigil for freshman David Bogenberger. Good evening, I'm Torian Small. Thanks for joining us.
And I'm Andrea Azzo. Pi Kappa Alpha, the fraternity where Bogenberger was found dead, is suspended as a student organization. But as NTC reporter Christine Vanderbroek shows us, there was still a lot of support.
We are standing just outside of Carl Sandburg Stadium inside the Home Student Center, where students are now filing out after paying respects for NIU student David Bogenberger, who was found dead just last week after being found inside a fraternity house. Students gathered tonight in hundreds to pay their respects and reflect on the good times and good things that they once knew about the fallen NIU student. David's family and friends sit in silence as the beginning of the memorial commences. Students lit candles and waited in silence. Others quietly read the vigil program. NIU President John Peters was among the speakers at the vigil there to pay respects to Bogenberger and his family.
Like every one of you, I wish I could say something to relieve their sorrow. I wish I could say something to relieve their pain. But I know that is beyond the power of mere words.
Phi Kappa Alpha, the fraternity where Bogenberger was found dead and also was pledging for, has now been placed on a temporary sanction by the university, as well as a suspension of their charter by the Office of the Phi Kappa Alpha International Fraternity. This means the fraternity can no longer conduct business or activities of any sorts.
The investigation is still continuing, so again, this applies to all students. Any students that are in violation of the Student Code of Conduct or university policies are subject to disciplinary action.
Cause of death is unknown at this time, but we're still waiting on results from a toxicology report to rule out any foul play or any other suspicions towards the death of this student. It will also help determine whether any disciplinary action should be taken place towards any of the fraternity organizations and anybody that was there that night. For NTC News, this is Christine Vandenbroek.
Thanks, Christine. We just had elections here in DeKalb, but residents still want the opportunity to vote for their city clerk. The city has been looking for a permanent replacement for the position of city clerk since Steve Capitan resigned in February. Diane Wright has been the interim city clerk, however, has made it clear she does not want to run for re-election. Voting will be held in April to determine a new city clerk.
Well, U.S. cellular users in DeKalb don't have to worry about the new Sprint buyout. U.S. Cellular customers also don't have to worry about their coverage. The buyout is going to cost Sprint $480 million. DeKalb was close to the buyout area, but just beyond the boundary.
Plus-minus grading will be going into effect next fall semester here at NIU. While Student Association was against implementing the new system, University Council moved to enact the policy for the fall 2013 semester. Grades with pluses and minuses will be given a higher or lower grade point. Students' grades in the past will not be affected by the new policy.
DeKalb's leaf collection continues through the end of this week and into next week. The city will continue picking up leaves in areas south of and including Lincoln Highway through this Friday. Next week, the city will pick up the leaves in all areas of town. The city would like to remind everyone that they should rake their leaves to the tree lawns.
DeKalb residents will have the option to recycle their holiday lights this year. DeKalb will be partnering up with Elgin for its second annual Holiday Lights recycling program. The copper and light bulbs from the lights will be sold to raise money for solid waste funds. Local residents will be able to donate all kinds of lights for their program. The annual Holiday Lights recycling program will start November 19th and ends January 14th.
A lawsuit is asking Chicago officials to waive the registration fee for sex offenders.
And now, jurors take hold of the beaten bartender case. These are today's state lines.
The city of Chicago is facing a new lawsuit saying officials are unfairly refusing to waive a $100 registration fee for sex offenders who are too poor to pay. Lawyers are asking for an injunction to keep the city from denying registration to anyone who asks for a waiver.
Jurors are deciding whether a code of silence played a role in the beating of a bartender by an off-duty Chicago cop. The civil trial stems from the 2007 beating of a female bartender by a former officer, Anthony Abbott. Because of previous scheduling issues, the jury will resume deliberations Tuesday.
Illinois environmentalists and researchers are studying ways to reduce the Asian carp population in state waterways. Several solutions for stopping the invasive fish, including eating them, were discussed at a meeting yesterday. Lieutenant Governor Sheila Simon says immediate actions are needed to save native species of fish. And those are today's state lines.
Kristen Swiner here. It's a really chilly day today here in DeKalb. Let's take a look at our weather cam. You can see that cloud deck is sticking around for the rest of the day. I'll have a full forecast though for you when we get back. You're watching NTC News Tonight.
Turning a 20-foot wall into a canvas takes vision. So will getting into college. I've got what it takes. So do you.
In Illinois, visit knowhowtogoillinois.org.
Chilly day today in DeKalb. We saw a high of about 52 degrees, and tonight we're expecting a low of about 35 degrees. That's right around the normal temperatures expected for this time of year, but a far cry from that 71 in 2001 and that record low of 6 degrees in 1991. Not a lot going on in our area, but we can still see remnants of nor'easter Athena off to the east coast. Athena hit about a week after Superstorm Sandy battled the East Coast. Athena was responsible for producing about a foot of snow, strong winds, and coastal flooding. Athena is expected to wind down tonight and head off east, but we have a new storm heading. We have Winter Storm Brutus off to the East Coast. Tonight, that's really picking up. It's expected to bring about a foot of snow for parts of Montana, as well as a blizzard warning, and about 3 to 6 inches in parts of Idaho and Colorado. For tomorrow, we're right underneath a nice high pressure, so clear skies and nice warm temperatures expected. But as we get into Saturday, we're going to see a cold front approaching right through our area, so we're going to see some showers possible early morning, but clearing throughout the day. Tonight, mostly clear, a low of 35 degrees and some light winds. Tomorrow, partly sunny skies and a high of 57, again some light winds. And then tomorrow night, we have a slight chance of showers, mostly cloudy and a low of 47 degrees. For my 5-day forecast, Friday we're expecting a high of about 57 degrees and partly sunny skies. As we get into that weekend, a high of 65 degrees. Some small showers possible in the early morning, but clearing through the rest of the day. For Veterans Day, though, on Sunday, a high of 62 degrees and rain expected throughout the day. We're going to see a cold front pass through us Sunday night, so our high is going to drop to about 39 degrees on Monday with the possibility of some rain and some snow. And then Tuesday, a high of 37 degrees and partly sunny skies. That's all I have for you. Back to the desk.
Thanks, Kristen.
More on how nor'easter is affecting the East Coast.
And speaking of robbing the wrong house, here's what's happening in today's World Watch.
There's nothing like a winter storm to complicate cleanup from Superstorm Sandy. A nor'easter is sending up to 8 inches of snow and 60 miles per hour wind gusts across the U.S. Northeast. This is Toms River, New Jersey. The extreme weather is zapping power lines barely mended for Sandy, leaving even more residents in the dark. Forecasters are predicting the snow will fall from Delaware to Maine.
A 21-year-old in California couldn't have made a worse pick for houses to break into. Kevin Hagan was discovered inside the home of House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi yesterday. He admitted to police he committed 6 burglaries in the Congresswoman's neighborhood. Hagan reportedly swiped a watch and coin collection from the Congresswoman's residence.
Greek lawmakers reluctantly voted in a new set of austerity reforms Wednesday, including changes to the country's labor laws bitterly contested by unions. The measures are required by lenders in order to release the latest installment of much-needed bailout money. Thousands protested the measures in front of the parliament.
The man accused of making the anti-Islam film that incited so much violence in the Middle East has been sentenced to 1 year in prison. Not for the movie, though, but because he admitted using an alias, which prosecutors said violated his probation from a 2010 bank fraud case. The movie, Innocence of Muslims, portrays the Prophet Muhammad as a womanizer and a child molester. And that is today's World Watch.
It's time for NTC Sports, and Doug Rogers joins us now. Doug, what's going on in the sports world today?
Well, guys, no NIU sports to cover today, unfortunately, but there was a lot of NBA action going on last night, so let's get right to it. There were a lot of action-packed NBA games going on last night, so let's take a spin around the league to check out the best highlights. To begin, we head to LA with the Spurs and the Clips at the Staples Center. In the third, Danny Green drains the 3, but the Spurs still down by 8. Then still in the third, Chris Paul can't finish with the reverse, but DeAndre Jordan cleans up the mess, Clips up 67-53. Then off the Steven Jackson miss, Caron Butler pushes it ahead to Jordan for the big-time slam. Huge game for Jordan. He finished with 20 points and 11 boards. In the fourth, Ginobili turns it over to Matt Barnes, and he lays it up for Blake Griffin's highlight reel jam at the rim. And then another play for Griffin. Chris Paul circles and sails it to Griffin for the huge alley-oop dunk. Clips win big in this one, 106-84. Now to Brooklyn versus Miami. In the second, D-Wade intercepts the pass, pushes it up court, and gets the sweet give-and-go slam from LeBron, 42-31 Miami. Then in the third, the Heat are still up big. Wade nails the easy floater from the free throw line. He finished with 22 on the night. And at the end of the third, LeBron gets in on the Brooklyn beatdown, seeking this 3, putting the Heat up by 23. And then to add insult to injury, Rashard Lewis runs down the pass and takes it all the way down court for the emphatic stuff. Heat destroy the Nets 103-73. Now let's go to Salt Lake City for the Jazz versus the 1-3 Lakers. There's Mike Brown trying to avoid another loss. To the fourth, Dwight Howard gets position and backs in for the strong dunk and the foul. Superman had 19 points and 9 boards on the night, but LA still down 70-65 here. Minutes later, Mo Williams drives the lane and kicks it out to Randy Foye for the long 3. Jazz go up by 11 with 4 minutes left. And in the next Jazz possession, Al Jefferson corrals the loose ball and puts in the easy jumper in the lane. Kobe finished with 29, but the Lakers still fall very short and drop to 1-4 on the season. Now to some more serious news. A U.S. Open tennis umpire was arraigned today on accusations that she murdered her late husband. There's umpire Lois Goodman in court today to find out if she will go on trial for murder. Goodman is accused of, quote, fatally bludgeoning her 80-year-old husband to death with a coffee mug. The April death of Goodman's husband was reportedly gruesome. Alan Goodman was beaten with a coffee mug and then stabbed to death with its broken shards. The hearing today in Los Angeles is to determine whether or not enough evidence exists for the case to go to trial. And in sports notes today, a lot of NIU action this weekend. The NIU men's soccer team will go to Akron to play West Virginia for the first round of the MAC tournament. Both the men's and women's basketball teams will open their regular seasons on the road, and the women's volleyball team will wrap up their regular season on Saturday at Victor E. Court in DeKalb. And now it's time for your play of the day. Let's fly over to New Orleans to check out the Hornets and the 76ers. Off the Sixers turnover in the second, the Hornets are on the break. Grievous Vasquez sends the airmailed assist to Amino for the incredible alley-oop finish. Perfect up-court pass from Vasquez. Let's take another look at that great Hornets break. Al-Farouq Amino does it again as he takes our play of the day for the second straight week. And on top of all the NIU action this weekend, guys, the wrestling team will have their first meet here on Saturday at the Chick Evans Fieldhouse. So since there's no football game, try to check out them and give some support this weekend.
Awesome, will do. When we come back, imagine looking at this guy when you're driving down the highway. We'll explain later.
Sherry Pearson. You are the sole surviving heir of the King of Montanopolis, and you are now worth $45 million.
I'm rich! This can't be real.
Of course it's not real. Come on. Having money isn't about luck. Like that takeout meal. Cook at home instead, you can save thousands a year. Feed me. Feed the pig.
Now here's something you don't see every day, a giraffe in a truck riding down the highway. Kitoto the giraffe traveled to her new home at the Taronga Zoo in Australia. The 2-year-old stayed cool and calm, appearing to enjoy the view. Kitoto was moved from the Dobo Zoo because she's now old enough to mix with her other giraffes and visitors. The animal will join 3 other giraffes at Taronga Zoo.
Can you imagine driving and have that thing staring at you the whole time?
No, I think I'd just be intimidated. But it is just so cute. Enjoy the rest of your evening. We'll be back this same time tomorrow. Thanks for watching.
Goodbye, everyone.